True freedom, true freedom is healthy boundaries. True freedom is boundaries. And I know people are going to disagree with me because it's so counterculture, but true freedom encompasses boundaries. And I know people say, well, how does that doesn't make sense? How can you be free if you're bound? How do boundaries make you free? But you have to really think about this and understand the psychology behind it to really appreciate it. Okay? In order to be free, you have to have a choice. You have to have a choice in order to be free. It's a basic fundamental principle of freedom. You need to have choice. You need to be able to make a decision for yourself. The decisions cannot be made for you. You need to have a choice, right? If you don't have a choice, you're pretty much a slave. That's what a slave is. A slave is somebody who doesn't have a choice. A slave is somebody who not only doesn't have a choice, but isn't in control. If the slave was in control, then they could easily stop being a slave, right? When you're not in control and when you don't have a choice, you're a slave. Okay? So you have to understand what causes somebody to lose control, right? When you lose control, you also lose choice, right? They go hand in hand. What causes a loss of control? A loss of control comes from chaos. It comes from a paradigm where there's no structure, where it's anarchy, where it's the wild, wild west, right? You could do whatever you want, right? You could do whatever you want, no boundaries. Go for it, right? Do whatever you want. It's a disaster. It's mayhem, okay? You think about this. Let's reverse engineer this, okay? It's a domino effect. When you have mayhem, when you have anarchy, when you have disorder, you automatically lose control. You're not in control. And when you're not in control, you don't have a choice, right? You're in a psychological straitjacket. You don't have a choice. And when you don't have a choice, you don't have freedom. Do you see how that works? Think about it from a reverse engineering point of view. Anarchy, mayhem, no boundaries, no structure, leads to a lack of control. Leads to no choice, which leads to no freedom, right? Imagine going out on the road, right? Going out in traffic and there's no rules, right? There's no red, green lights. There's no stop signs. You can just drive on the road and do whatever you want, right? Full freedom, right? Is that really freedom? Or are you being oppressed? You're being oppressed when there's no rules, when it's a free-for-all. If I wanted to travel from one state to the other, knowing that there's no rules on the road, right? That you don't have to drive on the right side or the left-hand side or whatever country you're living in, whether you drive on the right or the left, there's structure. If you get rid of these rules, there's no way you're going to be able to make traveling safely, right? Safety and security. That's what I'm talking about. People confuse boundaries with safety and security, right? You need structure. You need structure. You need order. I'm reminded of the Titanic, right? The boat, right? The ship that sank. These people that were in the Titanic, they didn't have a choice. There was no freedom in that. There was no freedom in their death. There was no choice. They just had to sit there and wait for the ship to sink. They were not in control. It was just mayhem, right? You need structure, right? You cannot just do whatever you want. You need rules, boundaries, where you mandate somebody to keep their eyes on the ship, right? So they don't crash into an iceberg, right? The whole thing could have been prevented with structure, guidelines, right? You can't just do whatever you want. Freedom comes with responsibility. And with healthy boundaries, when you get rid of these boundaries, you get rid of freedom, right? I think it was Jocko, right? Military man. He said, discipline is freedom. Let me say that again. Discipline is freedom. right? There's an element of control in freedom. Discipline means you're in control, that you do things whether or not you feel like doing them or not. It just needs to be done, and you have the choice to do it or the choice not to do it. And you're in control. That's what discipline means, having choice and control. They're ingredients in freedom. But like I said, people want to avoid responsibility like the plague. They want the freedom, but not the responsibility that comes along with it.